Look at your life for a moment. Really look. How many times have you told yourself, I can't, it's too late, I'm stuck, or I don't have a choice? You say it so often, it starts to sound like truth. But what if I told you you're not trapped? What if I told you that every wall you see, every limit you feel isn't real? You've just forgotten what freedom feels like. See, freedom isn't about where you are. It's about who you remember yourself to be. You've built a prison with invisible bars made of fear, doubt, and old stories. And the crazy part, you're holding the key. Today, I'm not here to give you motivation. I'm here to wake you up, to remind you of something ancient inside you. The fire, the drive, the power that no circumstance can cage. If you stay with me till the end of this message, you won't just hear words. You'll feel your chains start to rattle. You'll remember that you were never broken, never powerless, never stuck. You just forgot who you are. And by the time we finish, you'll know, not think, not hope, but know that you are already free. You're not trapped. You just think you are. Most people live their entire lives inside a box that doesn't even exist. They build walls in their minds and then spend years trying to find the door. And when they can't find it, they tell themselves, this is just who I am. This is just the way life is. But here's the truth, the walls aren't real. The trap isn't real. What's real is your belief in the trap. Think about it. Every single limitation you've accepted, I can't, I'm not ready, I don't have enough, I'm not good enough. None of that came from your soul. It came from conditioning, from moments when you got hurt, when you failed, when someone told you couldn't and you believed them. That belief became a thought. That thought became a story, and that story became your cage. But here's the question. If you built the story, can't you rewrite it? So many people wake up every morning and feel stuck in a job, in a relationship, in a mindset, and they tell themselves, I have no choice. But what if you do? What if you've always had the power to walk out of that cage, but you got so used to living inside it, you forgot the door was open the whole time? The mind is the most powerful force in your life. It can be your liberator or your jailer. When you believe you're trapped, your mind doesn't question it. It starts proving it. It looks for evidence, and guess what? It finds it. See, it says you really are stuck. And the more evidence it gathers, the more real the illusion becomes. But if you can make yourself believe in your limits, you can make yourself believe in your freedom. That's the power of awareness. I've met people who've lost everything, money, health, relationships, and they still radiate peace and strength because they never let the outside world define their inner world. And I've met others who have everything, success, wealth, recognition, yet feel empty, anxious, and trapped inside their own success story. It's not about where you are, it's about what you believe you are allowed to be. The illusion of being trapped is the greatest trick your mind will ever play on you. It whispers, you can't leave, you can't change, you can't win. But it's lying to you. It's lying because it wants comfort more than it wants freedom. And freedom always demands risk. It demands that you step into the unknown, and that's where most people stop, because the unknown feels dangerous. But what if it's not? What if the unknown is actually your doorway to everything you've ever wanted? You say you're afraid of starting over, but are you really afraid of starting over, or are you afraid of remembering how powerful you actually are when you do? When you were a kid, you didn't think about fear. You didn't ask for permission to dream. You didn't wait for someone to tell you it was okay to try. You just did. You were pure energy, pure possibility. You climbed trees, fell down, got back up, and did it again. That's freedom. You still have that in you. It's just buried under years of shoulds and can'ts and not enoughs. You're not trapped. You've just been hypnotized by your past. And it's time to wake up. Here's the truth. Every time you say, I don't know what to do, you do know. You're just afraid to do it. Every time you say, I feel stuck, it's not that there's no way. It's that you haven't decided which way to go. The moment you choose, the moment you say, enough, everything changes. The energy shifts. The cage starts to crack. You don't need someone to unlock your freedom. You need to remember that the lock was never real. The bars you see are made of thoughts, and thoughts can change in an instant. That's the beauty of being human. You can rewrite your life with a single decision. You can take a belief that's kept you small for 10 years and break it in 10 seconds with a new level of awareness. That's the power you've always had. So the next time you hear that little voice in your head saying, I'm trapped, stop and ask yourself, who told me that? Was it fear? Was it a story from your past? Or was it me forgetting who I really am? Because the moment you question the thought, the illusion starts to fade. You are not your circumstances. You are not your past. You are not the labels the world gave you. You are pure potential wrapped in human form. And the only thing standing between you and that next level of life is a story you're powerful enough to change. So don't wait for freedom to show up one day like a miracle. Don't wait for someone to come and tell you it's time. Stand up right now and claim it. Because the truth is, you were never in the cage. You were always holding the key. And today it's time to use it. You didn't lose your power, you just forgot it. Somewhere between who you were and who you were told to be, you forgot what you were capable of. You came into this world pure, unstoppable, filled with energy and possibility. You didn't worry about what people thought. You didn't second guess yourself. You just were. You laughed loud, you dreamed big, You loved without conditions, and you chased whatever made your heart come alive. That's who you really are. But as you grew up, the world started whispering in your ear. It told you to calm down, to be realistic, to stop dreaming so big. It told you to fit in, not to stand out. You started to trade your truth for approval, your authenticity for safety, and little by little, you forgot. You forgot that you are not meant to live in survival mode. You forgot that you were built to create, to expand, to lead. The truth is, life didn't take your power, it just buried it under years of noise. Every disappointment, every criticism, every time someone told you, you can't or you shouldn't, another layer got added. And one day you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back. You started to think, maybe this is just who I am now. Maybe that version of me is gone, but it's not gone, it's still there, powerful, raw, and waiting. You don't need to find that version of yourself. You need to remember it. When you strip away the fear, the doubt, the opinions, what's left is the real you, the one who's always known there's more to life than just existing. The one who's always felt that pull for something greater, even if you couldn't explain it. That's not random. That's your soul reminding you who you are. You are not what happened to you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures, your losses, or the moments you wish you could redo. You are the strength that got you through them. You are the awareness that's still searching for meaning. You are the part of you that refused to quit, even when it hurt. And the moment you remember that, truly remember it, everything changes. Because when you reconnect with who you are, fear starts losing its grip. You stop waiting for validation. You stop asking for permission. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You start walking differently, talking differently, living differently. Most people never get there because they keep looking outside for what's been inside all along. They chase recognition, status, money, relationships, thinking those things will finally make them feel whole. But none of it lasts because you can't fill an internal void with external validation. The only thing that fills that void is truth. Remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. You've got to get quiet enough to hear your own voice again. You've got to silence the noise, the opinions, the fears, the comparisons, and listen. There's a whisper in you that's been speaking since the day you were born. It's the part of you that knows what you're capable of. It knows what makes you come alive. It knows when you're settling. But most of the time, you drown it out with distractions and excuses. If you want to remember who you are, start by listening to that whisper again. Start honoring it. Every time you say yes to what your soul wants, you come home to yourself. Every time you follow what feels right instead of what looks safe, you strengthen that connection. You don't need to become anything new. You need to unlearn what you've been taught to believe about yourself. You've been conditioned to see yourself through limits, through failures, through fear. But those are lenses, not truths. And when you remove those lenses, when you finally see yourself clearly, you realize you were never broken. You were never behind. You were never less than enough. You were just covered in lies you didn't question. The day you remember who you are is the day your life changes forever. Because from that place, you stop living small. You stop letting fear dictate your choices. You stop chasing what's safe, and you start creating what's possible. When you remember who you are, you start leading your life from power, not from pain. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. You stop asking, can I, and start saying, watch me. You become dangerous to fear, unstoppable to doubt, and magnetic to everything that aligns with your purpose. You don't need someone to tell you you're powerful. You need to feel it again. And you will the moment you stop looking outside for proof and start looking within for truth. Because that's where your freedom begins. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to remember that spark, that fire, that unshakable certainty that says, I am more. And once you remember that, once you see yourself for who you really are, there's no going back. Because freedom isn't something you find out there. It's something you remember in here. Every single one of us was given the same ultimate power, the power to choose, the power to decide who we're going to be, how we're going to respond, what we're going to make of what happens to us. That's the purest form of freedom there is. And yet most people give it away without even realizing it. They hand it over to fear, to circumstance, to other people's opinions. They let life make the choices for them, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they feel powerless. But life doesn't trap you, indecision does. The moment you stop choosing, you stop living consciously, you start reacting, you start letting the world decide your worth, your direction, your emotions. And when that happens, you're no longer creating your life, you're surviving it. You see choices not just about the big moments, the career changes, the relationships, the bold leaps. Choice is every moment. It's the decision to rise instead of complain, to love instead of fear, to move forward instead of wait for perfect timing. Freedom doesn't come from having options. It comes from owning your power to decide what each moment means. Think about it. Two people can experience the exact same event, a loss, a failure, a rejection, and walk away with completely different outcomes. One lets it break them, the other lets it build them. The difference isn't the event, it's the meaning they chose to give it. Because meaning is what shapes emotion. And emotion drives action. And your actions, they create your destiny. So when you tell yourself, I have no choice, what you're really saying is, I've chosen to forget my power. You always have a choice. You might not control what happens to you, but you can always control what it means and what you're going to do next. That's the key to unlocking freedom in any situation. Most people think they need certainty to move. They wait for everything to line up, for fear to disappear, for the timing to be perfect. But that's not how freedom works. Freedom begins the moment you take the first step without knowing where it leads. It begins when you act, not because you're unafraid, but because you've decided that fear will no longer decide for you. Every choice you make either feeds your freedom or feeds your fear. Every single one. You can choose to play small or step up. You can choose to keep replaying the same story or write a new one. You can choose to be the victim of your past or the author of your future. The power has always been yours. And yes, making powerful choices means taking responsibility. And that's why so many people avoid it. Because when you own your choices, you can't hide behind excuses anymore. You can't say it's their fault or it's just bad luck. You realize it's you. It's always been you. And that's confronting, but it's also the most liberating truth you'll ever accept. When you truly embrace that your life is a reflection of your choices, you stop waiting for change. You start creating it. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You become your own rescue. You stop wishing for things to get easier. You decide to get stronger. Choice is a muscle. The more you use it consciously, the more powerful it becomes. But when you neglect it, when you let fear make decisions for you, it atrophies. You start to believe that life is happening to you instead of for you. But once you start choosing again, even small things, the momentum shifts. One conscious choice can change everything. Maybe it's choosing to speak your truth instead of staying silent. Maybe it's choosing to forgive someone, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Maybe it's choosing to take one step toward that dream you've been postponing for years. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Your power is in the space between what happens and how you respond. That space is everything. That's where freedom lives. That's where transformation begins. The people who live extraordinary lives aren't luckier than you. They're just masters at using that space. They make choices aligned with who they want to be, not with who they used to be. You want a new life. Make new choices. You want a new identity. Make decisions that match the person you're becoming, not the one you're trying to outgrow. Every single time you choose courage over comfort, authenticity over approval, growth over fear, you're breaking another chain. You don't need permission to change your life. You don't need a sign. You don't need someone to tell you it's time. You just need to decide. Decide that you're done living in reaction. Decide that you're done giving fear the steering wheel. Decide that you're done waiting for freedom when it's already in your hands. Every choice is a declaration. You're either declaring to your soul, I am free, or you're declaring, I am afraid. But you can't declare both. So right now, choose. Choose to take your power back. Choose to be the one who decides what this moment means, what your future becomes, who you are, because the moment you choose, truly choose, the illusion of being trapped disappears. You were never powerless. You just forgot how powerful one decision can be. So many people spend their lives waiting for the right time, waiting for permission, waiting for someone to tell them they're ready, that they're good enough, that it's okay to move forward. They wait for approval, for signs, for certainty. And in the process, they waste years of their lives standing in the hallway of opportunity, too afraid to turn the handle and walk through the door. But here's the truth. No one is coming to give you permission. No one is going to knock on your door one day and say, it's your time now. That moment doesn't exist. The permission you've been waiting for has to come from you. You keep thinking you need more confidence before you act, but confidence doesn't come first. Courage does. Confidence is what shows up after you take the risk, not before. You don't build power by waiting. You build it by moving. You don't find clarity by standing still. You find it by taking that first messy, uncertain step forward. You have to stop waiting for someone to tell you you're ready and start realizing you already are. The world has conditioned you to believe you need validation before action. Since childhood, you were rewarded for doing what you were told, getting permission, following the rules, fitting in. But adulthood, real growth, real freedom, they demand something different. They demand that you stop living on other people's timelines and start living on your own terms. Because every time you hesitate, every time you tell yourself, not yet, you're training your mind to doubt your power. You're reinforcing the belief that someone else holds the key to your destiny. You don't need anyone's approval to become who you were meant to be. You don't need anyone to agree with your vision. The people who change the world, the people who create something extraordinary, they all had to move before it made sense. They had to take the leap when everyone else was still debating whether it was safe. They didn't wait for the stars to align. They decided they would align them. You've got to be willing to look foolish for a while. You've got to be willing to move when others hesitate. Because every great breakthrough starts with one person who was willing to act without permission. History doesn't remember the people who played it safe. It remembers the ones who stepped forward when no one told them they could. And let's be real, the reason you're waiting isn't because you need permission. It's because you're afraid. Afraid to fail. Afraid to be judged. Afraid that if you try and it doesn't work, it'll mean something about you. But failure doesn't define you and action does. You can't learn to walk without falling, and you can't grow without getting uncomfortable. The pain you fear is actually the path that sets you free. When you stop waiting for permission, something powerful happens. You start trusting yourself again. You start rebuilding that inner certainty that says, I can handle whatever comes. You stop outsourcing your decisions to other people's opinions and start listening to your own intuition. You begin to realize that no one actually knows what's best for you, only you do. The truth is you've already been told no more times than you can count by teachers, parents, bosses, society. You've been told to slow down, to be realistic, to stay in line. But you've also survived every one of those moments. You've been through rejection, disappointment, setbacks, and you're still here. That means you've already proven that you don't need permission to keep going. There's a fire inside you that's been waiting to be unleashed. It doesn't care about other people's approval. It doesn't care about your past mistakes. It doesn't care how long you've been playing small. It just wants to burn. But it can only burn when you stop holding it back with fear. The greatest tragedy is not failing. It's never trying. It's looking back years from now and realizing that the only thing that ever held you back was hesitation. Every time you say, I'll start when I feel ready, you're lying to yourself because you'll never feel ready for what your soul was made to do. Growth always begins with discomfort. The door to your next level is locked by fear. And the key is action. Stop asking, am I allowed to? And start saying, I choose to. Because when you do, the world responds, life expands for the bold. Opportunities open for the ones who act. And what you'll realize is that the door was never locked. It was just waiting for you to push it open. Every second you wait, you strengthen the walls around your potential. Every second you move, you tear them down. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Make the moment perfect by choosing it. Don't wait for someone to crown you worthy. Declare yourself worthy now. Don't wait for the world to give you permission. It's your life, and you are the only one who can decide what happens next. Because the truth is simple. The door was never locked. You just stop pushing it. We spend so much of our lives running from fear, hiding from it, pretending it's not there. We treat fear like a signal to stop, like a wall we shouldn't cross. But fear was never meant to hold you back. It was meant to wake you up. It's not your enemy, it's your compass. It's the part of you that says, right there, that's where your growth lives. That's where your freedom begins. Every dream, every transformation, every breakthrough you've ever wanted sits on the other side of fear. And deep down, you know it. That's why you feel that tension inside, because your soul knows what it's capable of, but your mind keeps building reasons why you can't go there yet. You say, I'll do it when I'm ready, but the truth is you'll never feel ready to face what scares you. Readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. People think fearless people don't feel fear. That's not true. The difference is they've trained themselves to act in spite of it. They've made peace with that feeling in their chest, that trembling in their voice, that uncertainty in their steps. They know fear is part of the path. They don't wait for it to go away. They carry it with them until it loses its power. Fear has one job, to keep you safe. But sometimes what it thinks is safety is actually your cage. It keeps you from speaking your truth because it wants to protect you from rejection. It keeps you from trying something new because it wants to protect you from failure. It keeps you in the familiar because it wants to protect you from uncertainty. But the cost of that protection is your freedom. You can't grow inside the walls fear builds around you. And yet, most people spend their lives decorating those walls, trying to make their comfort zone feel like home. They say, it's not so bad here. I'll just stay a little longer. But every time you avoid what scares you, your world gets smaller. Every time you lean into it, your world expands. The same is true for failure. We've been conditioned to see failure as something to avoid at all costs. We attach shame to it, we let it define us. But failure is not the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. No one masters anything without falling. No one becomes great without getting it wrong 100 times first. Failure is feedback. It's the universe saying, that way didn't work, try another. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. And the ones who never try spend their lives haunted by the words, what if? What if I had spoken up? What if I had gone for it? What if I had believed in myself? Those two words, what if, will imprison more people than fear ever could. You've got to change the way you look at failure. You've got to start asking, what is this teaching me? Instead of what's wrong with me? Because the truth is every failure carries a lesson wrapped inside it. Every rejection redirects you. Every disappointment is refining you for something greater. The faster you fail, the faster you learn and the faster you grow. When you stop avoiding failure, fear loses its control. You start realizing that the worst thing can happen usually isn't that bad. And even when it is, you can handle it. You've handled everything life's thrown at you so far, haven't you? You're still here. That means you're stronger than your fear gives you credit for. There's a moment that happens when you finally face something that's terrified you for years. When you finally do it, when you say the thing, take the leap, end the pattern, and you realize it didn't destroy you. That's the moment you start to trust yourself again. That's the moment you stop letting fear drive your life and start letting courage lead it. Every person who's ever built a life of meaning has failed more times than you can count. They didn't get there by luck. They got there because they refused to stop. They refused to let a few falls convince them they weren't meant to climb. They treated fear like a signpost, not a stop sign, and that's what you need to do. When fear shows up, don't shrink. Don't try to silence it. Look it in the eye and say, thank you. You're showing me where I need to go next. Let it be the reminder that growth is calling you forward. And when you fall, not if, but when, don't make it mean the dream is over. Make it mean you're getting closer. Because every time you fail and rise again, you become stronger, smarter, and more unshakable than before. Freedom doesn't come from avoiding fear and failure. It comes from mastering your relationship with them. When you stop letting them define you, when you start using them as fuel, something shifts inside you. You stop being the person who needs everything to be certain before you move, and you become the person who moves no matter what. You can spend your whole life trying to avoid pain, but you'll also avoid growth, love, purpose, and fulfillment. Or you can decide right now that fear and failure will no longer be your enemies. They'll be your teachers. Because once you learn to walk with fear and dance with failure, you realize they were never there to stop you. They were there to make you unstoppable. Freedom isn't something you wait for. It's not a finish line you cross someday when life finally lines up perfectly. Freedom is a way of living, a decision you make every single day to stop letting fear, doubt, and circumstance dictate who you are and what you do. Most people think freedom comes after they achieve something, after they have the money, the success, the relationship, the perfect plan. But that's not freedom. That's dependency disguised as a goal. Freedom begins when you stop waiting for external change and start choosing internal truth. You have to live like you're already free. Right now, in this moment, even when nothing around you looks different yet, you have to walk with the energy of someone who knows they're no longer trapped by their past or limited by their fear. Because if you keep living as though you're still in chains, even when the lock is open, you'll never step out of the cage. Freedom isn't about control. It's about trust. It's about trusting yourself to handle whatever comes, trusting that no matter what happens, you'll find a way through it. It's about knowing that you are not your circumstances. You are the consciousness behind them. When you live like that, every challenge becomes an invitation, not a punishment. Every obstacle becomes a mirror asking, will you shrink? Will you expand? You can tell who's free by the way they move through life. They're not waiting for the world to give them peace. They carry it with them. They're not waiting for things to get easier. They're grateful right where they are. They've stopped fighting against reality and started dancing with it. That's what real freedom looks like. It's not loud or reckless. It's grounded, calm, and powerful. The truth is, living free doesn't mean you'll never face fear again. It means fear no longer controls your decisions. It means you've stopped chasing perfection and started embracing progress. It means you've stopped needing to prove yourself and started expressing yourself. You realize that life is not something to win. It's something to feel. You've got to live like you're already free because your mind will always find reasons to delay it. It will say, I'll be happy when I make more money. I'll relax when I'm successful. I'll feel peace when they finally understand me. But that's an endless chase. The truth is, if you can't find peace now, you won't find it later. Because peace isn't a result, it's a practice. It's the choice to say, I'm enough right here, right now, even as I grow. The people who live with true freedom are the ones who understand gratitude is not just something you feel, it's something you live. They wake up each day with a sense of awe that they even get another chance. They don't take time for granted. They don't wait for perfect days. They create them. Freedom starts in that mindset. It's when you stop asking life for guarantees and start giving life your full presence. When you live like you're already free, you stop chasing what doesn't matter. You stop needing to be everything for everyone. You start aligning with what's real, what's meaningful, what sets your soul on fire. You stop performing and start being. And when you live that way, something magical happens. You attract experiences that match that energy. You start to see opportunities you couldn't before. You begin to meet people who vibrate at the same level of truth. Life begins to respond to the freedom you embody. You've got to remember that real freedom is not selfish, it's service. Because when you're free, you give others permission to be free. When you live boldly, you inspire others to rise. When you speak your truth, you make it safer for others to do the same. Your freedom becomes a ripple that expands far beyond you. And maybe that's why we crave it so deeply. Not just for ourselves, but because the world needs more people who are alive, awake, and unafraid to shine. The world doesn't change through control or force. It changes through liberated hearts. When you start living like you're already free, you stop contributing to fear and start contributing to possibility. You stop dimming your light to fit in and start lighting the path for others to find their own way. Living free doesn't mean you escape pain. It means you learn how to hold it without losing yourself. It means you can face chaos and still choose peace. It means you stop reacting and start responding with intention. It's walking through the fire and realizing you don't have to become the flames. And here's the most beautiful part. Freedom doesn't need permission, validation, or recognition. It just needs awareness. The moment you realize that nothing outside of you has the power to control your state, your joy, or your worth, that's the moment you're truly free. You are not waiting to become free. You are remembering that you always have been. So stop holding back. Stop postponing your power. Stop waiting for the perfect day to start living fully. This is it. This moment. Right here, right now, live like you're already free, because you are.